Hello, everyone. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and we're starting our weekly webinar. And I want to welcome everyone, and especially welcoming the new people. As you can see, the title says Trading Prospects Mapping Out Your Week Ahead. And the agenda of this webinar is really to help us understand a little bit what happened the previous week, the week just ended, and make a plan or create a structure for the upcoming week. And as you know, in life, when you do plan or spend some time planning, it improves the results, definitely. Few things about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I started my trading career 23 years ago, June of 2000, and I was a day trader in a couple of prop firms on Wall Street. After doing that for 11 years, I moved on and I started to mentor and educate other traders. And of course, I never stopped trading. This is my biggest passion, I think. And I have a great opportunity to assist our customers with AvaTrade. The agenda of the webinar. We talk a little bit of fundamentals, the big picture, as mentioned. We'll discuss a little bit of events, the upcoming events, and then we'll discuss indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. Risk warning. You can find a full statement at avatrade.com. And what we do here, it's purely educational. Our channels, I highly recommend for you to subscribe and follow us on Telegram, Twitter, and as I always say, YouTube is my favorite. You can find things there that are being updated and edited on a daily basis. Some of you might watch this webinar on YouTube right now, so please click on likes. If you do like it now, click on like it. Of course, don't fake it. Share it with your family or a friend. Write your comments, write your feedback. It's very important to have feedback from you so we can improve things. Okay, so before we go into discussing economic calendar and other things, it's been quite a as you remember, we discussed last week about the upcoming event. With this, so we had interest rate decisions or from three major banks, three U.S., U.K., and some sounded less bad. We have closed initially sold. One of the less iPads, I believe, were sold, and still not such a great news for the iPhones and other reasons. And then the NFPs on Friday surprised lower jobs added or lower numbers of jobs added and a higher unemployment rate. So we added about 150,000 jobs and 180 was expected. And also the unemployment rose to 3.9%. So the market took it. Of course, the news are not so great, but as you know, it's all about Feds related and the further action. So just another reason for the Feds not to increase the rates. Market took it in a very positive way, and we ran very nicely. So these are the things that happened last week. Let's see how this week starts. And I just took the screenshots. It's a good article for you to read if you can spend some time. It's on marketwatch.com and says right here 5 reasons why U.S. stocks will likely rally into the end of 2023, says one Wall Street veteran. Good article. It gives you all the reasons and explanations. And let's see, maybe that's the case. And let's see if the move of this past week is sustainable and we are moving higher. So a few things. I'm not going to give you the whole article here. Of course, it would take us a little bit longer than we have. but few of the reasons that the Feds are cooling down, and it might not be any further increases. Also seasonal, as you know, into the end of the year, stock market tends to be rallying and closing on the highs, and other reasons that including also the earnings. So check the article, a good article to really spend some time reading. Okay, economic calendar. Just few words to new people because the regulars know what I do here. I take the high impact events only, so you can filter through them. You can find economic calendar on our web trader or the app or any third-party providers. This is public information. Everybody reports the same from the source. So I take the high impact only, and you can filter through it, as I mentioned, something that is relative to your trading. So a few things this coming week. Tuesday, we'll have the interest rate decision from Australia. Wednesday, inflation report or expectations from New Zealand, CPI numbers from Germany, Governor of Bank of England speech on Wednesday as well, retail sales from European Union, and another speech of Powell, which you know every time he speaks, everybody's paying attention and markets are being sensitive to the outcome. CPI numbers from China. And Friday, we have a monetary policy statement from Bank of Australia, GDP numbers from UK, and Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index from US, which is also important. So these are the events. And again, sometimes people ask how important it is to follow the economic calendar. It's up to you using it or not using it, but logically speaking, it's important to be aware ahead of time so you can actually make your decision to participate in trades or stay away or any other actions or anything. But knowing that certain things are happening, especially series reports like you saw on Friday with the NFPs, the market really moved significantly. So those things are important to know, that you wouldn't be caught by surprise in the trade or any other things. Okay, so now we're gonna move into the MT4 terminal and terminal here. Before we go into things, we'll just go through the numbers in US indices just to give us a little bit of statistics for it. So Dow Jones had a nice, it rose 0.7% a day and 5.1% on the week. As you could see, a very strong week. It erased the previous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of losses in 1 week was erased. So it's according to the analysts, it's the best week since October of 2022, a year ago. S&P 500. S&P 500 rose 0.9% for the day and 5.9% for the week. As you could see here as well, erased the 3 weeks of losses. And Nasdaq was the strongest. We gained on Nasdaq 1.4% on Friday and 6.6% for the week. So very strong moves. Again, what triggered it? Let's just take a we had the Feds and the hawkish, like I mentioned before, the less hawkish mood of the Feds, less jobs added and higher unemployment. Those things added up to market taking it as a positive thing. And of course, the not further increase in interest rate is positive for the equity markets. Okay, so what else happened? As we said, markets are running. US dollar falling. Gold had a move higher as well in return. And important to mention the VIX. Some call it fear indicator, volatility, volatility indicator. Closed on Friday below 15 at 1491, and remind us that uh, uh, it reached $3 on October 20, about 6 weeks ago. Over $23.08, about less than 2 weeks. So there's a strong move to the downside as market ran. The article, your opinion, impact is power will win. That and we are entering the second week of November. We still have 3 weeks in November and then the whole month of December into the end of the year. I've been long enough trading equities, especially. Wall Street has a tendency to run the markets up and always connect it with bonuses. They have to close it higher. So all those involved in trading, hedge funds and everything else, and the firms and brokers, they get a nice fat bonuses. That's exactly what happened in 2021. We ran into it, and then 2022, the whole year was a sell-off with the increase of interest rates. And it looks like it's all related to it, mostly related to it. Now, another factor to take into consideration, that the situation in the Middle East, it's not really clearing up. Things are getting hot. Unfortunately, a lot of casualties, a lot of things are happening. And we don't really see things ending this upcoming week unless the miracle happens. So that's also puts the pressure on things. All right, and speaking of which, I just want to bring the oil right here. As you could see, oil is not really running. It didn't react, so it's a little bit weird. I tried to be logical, and you know what? I'll leave the oil for later when we get to commodities. So let's take a look at China. China also had a nice recovery, and we are entering in this area right here, which was the previous support, and then we broke through it. We tried to come up again, and we are above 2,200, something I mentioned last week, I believe. So we start, if we establish support here, there's a chance that we'll continue this recovery. Some analysts are predicting a nice recovery for had a nice move to the upside. Of course, it went up simply with all the global markets. And another reason, there was no change in interest rate on Bank of Japan decision. So the yen didn't increase in value. There was no jump in it. And it's continuing to be good for Nikkei, for Japanese index, for NIX. Let's take a look at European indices as well. DAX had a nice run, even though Friday didn't catch up with the US markets. UK index sold on Friday. And by the way, for in case you have confusions here, now we upgraded or updated the name for the DAX. Now it's Germany 40. So DAX 30, if you do have open positions there for closing only, you cannot open. It's the same instrument. It's just different name. Called Germany 40 right now. As you know, a while ago, DAX added 10 more stocks, so it's 40 stocks now. 40 companies instead of established that. And let's see, again, the question is, will we sustain that move? Will we continue moving? And as someone predicts, or some analysts are predicting, that there's a chance that we'll be running from here towards the end of the year. So that's as far as indices. As far as indices, let's take a look at individual stocks. Now, with the oil being low, the Exxon sold, and Chevron is sold much stronger. And I tried to find out what's the reason. I just realized by researching that Berkshire Hathaway, or the company of Warren Buffett, they got rid of a lot of stock in Chevron, so it added also downside pressure to it. So the oil stocks are down. Now, I wanted to bring up Intel as a big lesson for us. If you remember, I mentioned when the market was selling, Intel actually gapped up, and I mentioned that if the market manages to turn around into positive, Intel would be the first stock to run as something as relative strength. It's very important to realize on the falling market. This was on the 27th, right? Let's take a look. We can take NASDAQ, just take a look what NASDAQ did on that day. On the 27th, as you could see, it was a negative day for NASDAQ before the run started. But Intel had a nice positive reaction, as you could see here when the market turned around. The very next day, the upside move increased. So very important to spot these things. And I always, for many years, I learned from the great traders when I came to trade in 2000. It's very important to spot these things. On the falling market, you try to indicate the strong stocks. So there would be normally the first one to run when the market turns positive. And on the other hand, or upside down, if you look at it, if the market is running and you find a stock that is resisting, it's not going up, or even worse, it's selling. So when the market turns around and starts selling, that weak stock will be the first one to continue. Again, there's no 100% guarantee in anything, but these are the things that are working out a lot of times. Also, what we had, like I mentioned to you, Apple reported, and I watched, actually, I was waiting that Thursday night for the reports. Initially, stock ran up, and then it sold. It was trading around 170, I think, after market. And then it stabilized, and of course, the next day it gapped. So again, we'll continue watching Apple. Some analysts were saying things that the iPod or iPad sales are lower, and then not enough new things. That includes no specific practical news in the new product as far as the laptops and so on. So mix report, but as of now, the Apple is still holding, but we didn't break through this 180 resistance so far. So we'll be watching that. Tesla's been strong, as I always say, when the market is running, the stocks are running with it. So Tesla is trading about 220 after dipping below 200 this past week. We'll be watching that. Now, few stocks are reporting this coming week, and among them is Uber and Disney. So Uber is already reacting to it. It's very sensitive to the market. So that's what I mean. See, on the strong market, Uber went up with the gaps, with a couple of gaps. So it looks like there's a nice buying interest in the stock. So let's see what the earnings bring. And we might be breaking, if the earnings are great here, we might be breaking through this resistance. This is the weekly chart. We tried it October of 2021, and then we had another 2 attempts recently in July and September. And this past week, as you could see, a very strong week. He raised 5-6 weeks of selling. So let's see what the earnings bring for the company. Disney, as you know, Disney is really limping. A lot of issues, especially with streaming. They are reporting also this coming week. The stock is again trying, it's like a triple attempt to break the resistance. September 15, October 17, and now we're approaching that level around $86. So let's see what the earnings will bring for this stock. Okay. Now, Teva, I want to bring Teva. We've been talking about it in the past weeks and months. Where are you, Teva? Here we go. So Teva Pharmaceutical, just to remind you, especially to new people, I started talking about it when we were around $7, and my idea was, or my observation was that the stock has a tendency to travel between $7 and $11. This is the weekly chart. So we spoke about it around here, and the stock went to about 1065. We hit 1070. We came back again. Now, the whole pharmaceutical sector, as I mentioned to you last week, has been weak. Johnson & Johnson's been selling. Pfizer been selling. So Teva also sold, as you could see here, since that reaching that 1070. We came, but we did manage to stay above $8. So we didn't go back all the way to $7. So it looks like this is a high low after making high highs here. So it could be that Teva will make another attempt to go higher. And if you zoom out, something that I mentioned to you, the stock's been here for a few years now. From 2019, we entered into this channel, or if you want to call it, a range between $7 and about $13, $13.50. So a lot of accumulations happening. We are holding this level here around $7. Currently, we're trading close to $9. So at some point, we might see that breakout. And as you could see here, a lot of fluctuation, a lot of build-up going on. So worth continue watching this stock. So that's on Teva Pharmaceuticals. Also, we spoke about GM. I'm not sure if that's finalized, but it looks like they also came up with a solution with the strikes, so that will actually conclude that strike for the three major automakers in the US. So the stock reacted to it. There was a gap on Friday, and we closed around 29. Pfizer. Both Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson's on the recovery. Now, important to mention, the kind of a hold or maybe stop of a tightening policy by the Feds, it looks like the banks are really enjoying it. We had a nice move to the upside on banking sector. Bank of America, from around 25, we went to above 28. Goldman had a tremendous move to the upside. As you could see, it could be anything. It could be short squeeze. It could be excitement. It could be the real move. But the move is really, really strong. Take a look. On the 27th of October, we were at the low of 289, and we closed at 327. A nice move to the upside. JP Morgan as well, as you could see here, move to the upside. Citigroup. So the banks are really, really enjoying that sentiment or the mood of less hawkish or less aggressive tightening policy, or maybe even starting again. If you had the chance to listen to the press conference, I did. So the question about the cutting the rates is not on the agenda. So that's something that initially disappointed the analysts and the traders. But then it looks like the idea of stopping or not increasing the interest rates anymore, that idea is growing and it's getting stronger. So that actually added to the positive mood to the market. So of course, the whole idea is positive for the banks. As you could see, the banks having a party this past week. Let's see if that's sustainable. And of course, you can go through the major stocks, like we mentioned, Apple, Tesla, Netflix had a nice run to the upside. Facebook, not so much. Also, no, I mean, they all moved. Some broke to the previous resistance, some didn't. Amazon, nice move. So again, not to speak too much about it, but it's been a strong week. The question is, Will this move continue, or was this just the short selling coverage and the short squeezing, and will turn south again? And this week will show, of course. So that's as far as the equities. Let's move to commodities, and we'll start with crude oil, as I mentioned to you. So it's, to me, it's a little bit weird. First of all, on the supply side, the war and situation in the Middle East normally would have pushed the oil much higher. It didn't. So the explanation was, okay, slow down in China, globally, and so on. So maybe less oil will be in demand. But now, after such a nice move of the markets, including the China this past week, oil had another sell-off week. So that's the question. What's the story here? Is this accumulation before moving, or the world is done with? Again, I'm exaggerating a little bit. The world is done with using oil. I guess we'll find out. But we are at the 80, very strategic level here. That's where the last strong move to the upside happened. We are sitting around here. Now, Friday was a high range day. As you could see here, we closed lower, but the range was about $3.5. The low was 80.9, 80.09, the high 83.58, about $3.5. So let's see what this week brings. Will we challenge again 80 to break through the downside, or will we finally run and catch up with this exciting mood? Just to show you China again. China had a nice move this past week. So with China also, definitely we want to see what happens in copper. Copper moved with China, and Friday it sold a little bit. We are sitting about the 50 moving average. Let's see if we move up from here. Natural gas. Our friend natural gas is, it looks like it's holding that support around 346. Just to remind me, it was a resistance here, then we came to retest, we broke to 3, and then we're up again. So we are holding that support. We might be starting that move to the upside. Let's see how this week plays out in natural gas. And of course, gold. The key level that I mentioned to you, 1983, that was the resistance for a while. Then we had a nice move to the upside here when the market sold first. That was on 27th. And now we really strongly holding this level around 1983. Gold moved initially strong to the upside with the NFP report, and then it sold. See right here, this was a move up. We hit, that's the NFP came out 12:30 GMT. We hit the high of 2004, and then a lot of actions, and we closed below 1992. So again, let's see. We are holding this level strongly, 1983. One more commodity I want to show before we move to Forex, and that is cocoa. Once in a while we'll talk about it, but it looks like cocoa is actually at the all-time highs. It doesn't let me see further to the left, but something to pay attention here. This is the monthly chart, so each candle represents a month. The high here of 2011 on March 31st was 38.94. And guess what? We closed at the highs at 38.98, $3 below the high of the day. Just see the last 5 minutes. There you go. So we are challenging. We officially closed at the highs. Let's see what it means for cocoa. I don't have any fundamentals, any reasons for it. It could be seasonal, could be anything, could be the weather. I'm not sure, so I'm not gonna make it up. But technically speaking, we are challenging the all-time highs. If there is all-time high, I'm not sure, but it could be. In any event, it's a long period till we were at this level from 2011. That is 12 and a half years. ago. So definitely worth watching cocoa at these current levels. Okay, so that's commodity. We'll move to Forex, and we'll start with dollar index in a moment. Okay, dollar index. It's been holding very nicely. And with the NFPs, we're going to take a look at the short time intraday chart in a moment. But first, just to show you a big picture, take a look. We've been sitting about 106, almost 107 for a few weeks, and then we broke on Friday to the downside. On the daily chart, you could see here, we were really playing with this level, 105.86. Why this level? That was the previous high of March 5th. So you could see here, we've been playing with this level, and then Friday, we had a strong sell-off. Of course, if you bring a short-term or intraday chart, you could see why. Dollar started to get weak on Friday before the announcement. And then when announcement came out, it was a strong sell-off. That first 30 minutes, we went from 105.68 to a little bit above 105. And then we'll continue lower towards the end of the day. So again, what it means in general, if the crowd that thinks that the Feds are done tightening, if they're right, so the dollar, it could be from here, it could be continuing its sliding to the downside, maybe slowly, maybe aggressively, we don't know. So if they're not so right, I don't want to say they're wrong, but if they're not so right, we might be coming and retesting this level again, 105.86, see if that actually confirms to be a resistance. So, of course, if you take a look at all the majors, that is a very nice run. They broke, some of them broke through some moving averages here. Pounded great here, as you could see. We had it's a huge range for the daily chart from 121.83 to 123.89, more than 200 pips move. Euro, similar idea here. So all of them kind of broke through the moving average. Now USD CAD, the nice move. It's a 3-day move. Friday extended it. We are above the 50 moving average still. Australian and New Zealand dollar had a very nice move. Again, just to remind you, not just because of the US dollar, but also because of China recovery, or at least move to the upside. As I mentioned to you when I mentioned China, there are 4 instruments to watch: oil, copper, and 2 currencies they called commodity currencies, that Australian and New Zealand dollar. So both of them had a nice move to the upside. This is Australian dollar. We're facing resistance around here, around 0.65, and that's the Australian dollar. And New Zealand dollar had also a nice move. We stopped right on the 100 moving average here. So again, it's all up to that mood. If everybody's convinced that the Feds are done tightening, we might see major currencies running up against the dollar and dollar selling. So we'll be watching that. Dollar Swiss sold as well. And USD JPY also sold. We are below 150, again, the key level. Now, Japanese yen, it's my favorite, and I'm sorry if I bore you with that every week. The reason is that Bank of Japan, as I mentioned, for new people, this is important to know. Bank of Japan is the only central bank that hasn't done anything in increasing the interest rate. We're still in a negative territory, minus 0.1%. So they are last week they haven't done anything as well. There's no increase in interest rate. So you could see major currencies are advancing against the Japanese yen, and the move is continuing So we'll continue watching it. In some pairs, we're coming to serious levels of retesting the resistance. And the pair that I've been talking to you for a while now is the CHF JPY. As you could see here with a nice run above 166.56 area, the previous double tops here. And now we're below again, and we're having a hard time breaking. So we'll continue watching this pair. And just to remind everyone, this level 159.88, this is the level from year 1979. It took a while to get back here. First, we broke this level. Recently, it was in June. And I think since then, I've been talking about this pair. We are moving higher since then. And we did, guess what? We did retest it here in October. And that's why I'm continuing watching this pair. We hit the low of 159.88, exactly the point of that level. So as you could see here, even the weakness of the yen, this pair is having a hard time moving higher. So we'll be watching this. Another one I'm going to bring up or back up, something that we spoke about, that the USD Hungarian forint. We spoke about it a while ago. The currency pair moved nicely, and we're coming back again, and we're approaching the 200 moving average here around 353. 350 is the 200 moving average. Again, let's see if after reaching the 200 moving average we see the reversal, or we might be moving lower and testing the lower supports around here. Okay, that's as far as Forex. And we'll wrap it up with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been strong. Again, I might be repeating myself, but if you remember that initial move to 30 retesting, then retracing, and then there were new evidence that some companies that include BlackRock and other companies are expecting to get regulations for offering for trading the ETFs that are going to be Bitcoin-based ETFs. So the market took it positively. And if you zoom out, we are trading around 35,000, which is the key level here. A lot of actions were around here, supports that we broke through. Last time we broke below this level was May of last year. So almost a year and a half it took us to get back. And we are steadily holding the 35,000. So let's see how the fundamentals develop about those regulations. And let's see if Bitcoin manages to move up from here. Okay, so that's it for today. I want to thank everyone for participating. Again, just to remind you, the channels, we have Telegram, Twitter, and the YouTube channel. Please participate, subscribe, click on reminders or subscription on YouTube and the reminders on that bell so you'll be notified on things. If you missed the webinar, they are being posted on YouTube, including this one. And before I let you go, just to put it all together, we had a busy week, very strong week for indices. Some of them had the strongest week in more than a year. We had interest rate decisions, we had NFPs, we had speeches and so on, something that supports the idea that the Feds might be done with interest rate increases. So we're still, something that I forgot to mention, we're still in the middle of the earning reports. So we are having more reports this week. And important to see if this week will be continuation to the upside of the equity markets, as we did have a very strong week. And of course, we'll be watching the war and see how things are improving there, hopefully improving, and hopefully we'll see the end of that chaos. I want to wish everyone a good weekend. I want to wish you a great, successful, and positive week. Take care, and we'll be back next week.